and then you're going to be in trouble. What do you see happened with Rachel and Leah? Right? When Jacob actually got the woman he really wanted, it didn't matter with Leah again. Okay? And I remember this guy was talking to me one day, and we're at this place, and two sisters, and he was saying to me at the time, he said to me, he said to me, David, this is the one I should have gotten, Right? And he said it right in his wife's presence. He said, I would have preferred if you had gotten her sister than her. That's just to show how he feels. He's as plain as that. He said, I would have preferred if I had gotten this sister than the other sister. And he said it right in her presence. Do you know why? Because he had married this sister, and after a while he realized that, this one, I don't know, there's something I don't like about her. And then he met the sister and he just liked her. And so what do you think would have happened really? Right? So your husband can get distracted to another woman just like that. So don't set up yourself for defeat. Set up yourself for trouble. Right? Because there are just some things that we don't like. Right? And that makes up who we are and our individuality. Right? And if you're a person who doesn't like these things, don't just say I'm just gonna ignore it because I love him. Right? Because you can love somebody else. You see, your love, as we said earlier, God has given us the love, but we can channel it where we want it to go. And we can set it where we want it to go. We can even change the love and make it go into lust, and don't even follow what God wanted for us. Right? So we have to make sure that you are getting involved with somebody you can be comfortable with. And don't be unreasonable. I'm not saying everlasting. As I said, don't expect if you love blue, she gonna love blue. Right? But there are certain things, if you know you can't tolerate it, and you know you can't deal with it, don't get involved in it. Because you can't tolerate that. Right? And what it's going to is open up, I think, to cause problems. And as I said to you, yes, the woman who you really would like is going to show up one day. And it could be even her sister. Right? And you won't, every day you'll be saying, well, I wish I was married to that woman. I wish I was married to that man. I wish I was married to this one. I wish I... And that's not a good position to be in. So you won't be able to give your all to that relationship or to that marriage. You won't be able to succeed. You have to be able to give 100%, to give all that you can, right? All right, and it has to grow, as I'm saying. So I'm saying if you know that there you can't deal with this, just don't bother with it, right? So that's one thing. And I think the last point I want to make is about women who talk about they move on. You might have read my article on Facebook about it. How many women love to say about they have moved on. And I said, they have moved on anything because they have been involved with men who are still holding on to them. And especially if you have shared certain things with a man, like if you have shared a bed with him, you can't move on. And I'm dead serious. Right? You need to get rid of that bed. Don't sleep in it anymore. Right? Those things have his DNA in it. And I'm telling you this, and this is very, very serious. A woman said that they have moved on, and then when they get involved with somebody who really, with a good man who could help them, he sees them acting some ways he can't understand. And he doesn't understand that it's because of what was done to them before, why they're acting this way. And he now has to deal with it, which he has no clue sometimes where to go, depending on his maturity and even his connection with God. And it could turn out sometimes really, really rough. Yes, tempestuous for that matter. Because of the damage that was done to this woman And it could be a man too, that is acting certain ways the woman can understand, but there's a damage that was done to him before, right? Sometimes you have to give up. Not sometimes, some of these things you have to physically give them up. The lady asked today, she said, why do you leave these things and they are good stuff? I said, sometimes when you move on, you have to leave some things behind. Leave them behind, leave them behind, leave them behind. And I do know, and it's even worse, it's some of these men who even die and leave a widow. Sometimes they try to hold on to their widow with supernatural powers before they die. And this is a dangerous, devilish thing I'm talking about. And it is something I know as a matter of fact. So sometimes these women, as I talked about earlier about the spirits you're connected with. You're connected with. Yes, yes. I heard a brother say one time that some people, even in a church setting, you go and you embrace them, and you say you smell the devilish spirit coming off of them, right? I heard somebody talking in the church one day, and they were talking about some things with people even right at the very altar in the church, and the pastor was said, "What? Were you people really telling me that these things going on right here in this church?" He's the pastor, and he didn't know, but people having revelation were telling him that these are some of the things that are going on right here, okay? And so the devil is very active. Be careful of the spirits that you unite yourself with. They can damn you for hell. And I'm telling you, even though sometimes you can get involved with somebody who's have a good spirit, what the spirit will do is repel each other. Repel each other, like two magnets set against each other. The fields go in opposite direction, right? Repel, repel, repel. Or it can be like a magnet put across a piece of plastic, that nothing happens because there is nothing in the plastic, right? Nothing in the plastic to adhere itself to the magnet. Nothing in that piece of wood, right? Two different materials, and they can't come together because one has been damaged to the place where nothing is happening. And the devil seeks to do that, because sometimes the devil realizes that when he realizes sometimes he can't possess you, sometimes he does to oppress you. And that thing is deadly. It's deadly. See, it is deadly because both of them can push you right down to hell. To possess you and to oppress you. And as we read in the Psalms about David crying out to God to come help him because of his enemies. They were seeking to oppress him. And he said God would help him. Amen? But today, as we talk about love relationships, I want to share these things with people. Things that I know, as a matter of fact. I'm not guessing these things that I tell you. And if anybody want to talk about anything else, I know these things. I've been there, I've heard these things, and I've seen the sights that dazzle, as the song said. The tempting sounds I've heard. Right? I've seen things that would make you shudder, literally. I'm telling you. Okay, I make you shudder. Right? Okay? Yeah. So I'm telling you, I remember, as I mentioned this, I remember when in the ministry, I remember there was this house I used to go to, and I used to leave from work every Tuesday, and I used to pick up, another person, and we used to go down to this house. I didn't even go home. I went straight there from work every Tuesday. But every time when I went into the house, I was hot like fire. Very uncomfortable. But when I stepped back out of the house, I went back to normal. Yes, Just for real. And nobody, just like how the children were fighting in Rebecca's room, could answer me about it except God. And I asked him, I said, this is strange. What is the meaning of this? And the voice of the Lord whispered in my ear, saying to me that I have to cover you when you go into that house. Right? I have to cover you. That's why you're so hot. Right? That's why you're so hot. There's too much evil inside of that place. When you go inside there, this person is possessed, that person possessed, because the powers of darkness are upon that house. And God said to me, I have to cover you, to protect you. When you step back out of the house, you don't need a covering again. You go out in your car, you're normal. But as soon as you step in there, you're hot like fire. The blazing fire of the Holy Ghost will cover me. And some of those things were stunning to me. Right? But I'm telling you, when you talk about the powers of darkness, the evil spirit, it's so abundant in the world today. And things which were, they have them in the movies, they have them in the cartoons, they have all of these things, and people are being indulged into these things, not even knowing what they're getting into. And so you have to thank God, right, when He steers your footsteps away from some things. Right? He steers you away from these things. Right? But even though the Lord will steer you away from these things, you're going to still meet up your dragons along the way. Right? And yes, the angel of God will be there to fight with you. But don't set up yourself for defeat. Right? Remember, as I said earlier, the beginning, if you want your relationships to succeed, the first thing you need, right? The first thing you need is a strong relationship with Jesus. Amen? So as I said with John, Peter could say to him, John, ask Jesus, Lord, what this is about. And as soon as John asked, he got the answer. He said to him, watch me, and you're going to get the answer. And that's another thing we have to understand. See, I wrote earlier about sometimes you don't ask God what is something if you can see it. He never told him it was Judas Iscariot, but he said, watch and see what I do. Sometimes he said to the prophet, what seest thou? And he said, a basket of summer fruit. He said, okay, then I tell you what it means. He said, what do you see? Are you looking? Do you see what's happening before you? Do you see what's happening before you? I'm showing you something. Do you see? Do you see? Are you going to just run blindly and then you're going to get damage to your soul, your spirit, and the body? And many people, in seeking to recover from these things, they get into occult practices, and so they jump from the frying pan into the fire. So it's like they move from one kind of spirit to another kind of spirit, which is not the spirit, and neither of them is the Spirit of God. And that's just plain deception from hell. And so, you might wonder when I'm talking about these things with relationships, but I'm not hiding it. I'm just telling you what the Lord told me to tell you. I'm opening in the Bible, and I'm talking about what's in the Bible, and I'm talking about what I've known and the Lord has shown me. And so that's the reason why the Bible said, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. It said, what concord has light with darkness? One spirit, it said, what agreement at the temple of God with idols? Because it's a spiritual thing he's talking about. You might say to yourself, well, that person is a nice man or very beautiful woman, and they look alike. And God said, no, that's not how it goes. There is something in each of us that's called a spirit. And you need to unite with the spirit. That's where you're going to know. And if the spirit is of God, right, the Spirit of God bear witness with your spirit that it is a good spirit. And if you cannot go before God with that person, then